The Ford Ranger, especially in the T6 platform, the current generation, is a leader in the pickup truck segment, especially in the Philippines. Now, there's going to be a new model coming up next year, but here are the two latest ones that I think you must consider. Now, even though there's going to be a new model, which of these two would you prefer? What's going on, guys? Roy Robles here from Zigwheels.Ph, and today we'll be comparing the two hottest Ranger models out there, the Ford Ranger Wildtrak and the Ford Ranger FX4 MAX. Starting with the front of the Ford Ranger Wildtrak, it's got the traditional Ford Ranger grille, but this time it's got piano black accents all around. But what you really notice are these colored inserts. They're gold colored inserts that really add a little bit more pop to the color up front. You've got your DRLs right here, blacked out headlamps, which are nice, an all LED implementation. It's an overall great look for a really poggy looking pickup truck. Now let's head on over to the Ford Ranger FX4 MAX. Now remember, the front of the Ford Ranger Wildtrak gives you all the nice and neat colors that handsome looking guys are looking for, but this time here on the FX4 MAX, it really looks kind of plain. You don't even have your black inserts here. It's not blacked out, the headlamps, but you get projector halogen headlamps at least. It doesn't have any DRLs, and even the fog lamps up below are those of the regular bulb type, but what does give it a little bit more pop is the FORD grille right here. Now, if you really like your trucks to be more customizable, you might want to head on over this one. But if you want it out of the box, great looking, the Wildtrak might be your best bet. Now, heading to the side profile of these two top Ford Rangers, you'd notice right away that the mags here on the FX4 MAX are 17 inches while the Wildtraks are 18s. Now, the 17 inches on the FX4 MAX are actually shod with BF Goodrich all-terrain tires instead of highway tires on the Wildtrak. A little few more details that you find different on each of these cars are, of course, the black plastic cladding on the FX4 MAX, and of course, nothing on the Wildtrak. You also might want to consider the different step boards on each of these models. You've got a full-size step board on the Wildtrak model, while the interesting part on this FX4 MAX, you got this individual looking step boards on each side. Now, ideally, if you're going off-road, you would not want to have step boards at all, but since it has a high ride height right here, you definitely need to have it. So definitely up to you which you would choose. Another huge difference are these sports bars. While you've got this nice aluminum sports bars at the rear of the FX4 MAX, on the Wildtrak, it's got looking more kind of decorative looking, more like a sports truck than an actual sports bar. And you also don't have roof rails. I think roof rails are really more for hauling and more for traveling, but the FX4 MAX is more purpose-built, like we're going to discuss later on. Now you can find even more distinction between these two Ranger models in the rear. Now the Ford Ranger Wildtrak offers blacked out tail lamps, also this piano black door handle, but there's one more thing that actually distinguishes the Ford Ranger Wildtrak from all other Ford Ranger models. If you notice this blacked out Ford badge right here, that is exclusive to this particular model, and I think it's pretty nice, pretty special, makes the Wildtrak even more distinctive. The Ford Ranger Wildtrak also has a rear camera, which the FX4 MAX does not have, and of course, the piece de resistance, this automatic rolling shutter, which just looks amazing. No need to go third party or aftermarket, guys. The Wildtrak's got you covered. Right, so the interior of the Ford Ranger FX4 MAX is as no frills as you can get. The only gadgets I see up front is the switch pack with up to 6 potential gadgets that you can switch to the FX4 MAX here. You can definitely see who the FX4 MAX is made for. It's definitely for those who are more into customizing their truck than those who want their trucks already good out of the box. A few other options that I see nice here is this leather wrap steering wheel that is adjustable, of course, only for rake and not for reach. Now the seats, They're part leather, part suede, but the most interesting thing about that is the embossed FX4 MAX logo on top of it, and of course this nice carbon fiber trim. Like I said, there's not much inside of this. No, you don't even have wood trim on the dash, not much soft touch materials. You got your automatic climate control, your 4x4 switches up front here. That's it. That's all you get with this one. Alright, so right now we're inside the Ford Ranger Wildtrak 4x4, and right away, right off the bat, I can definitely tell that it's more upscale looking than the Ranger FX4 MAX, despite being more affordable by about 30,000 pesos. First of all, you got this nice contrast stitching up front. You even have soft touch materials on the dash. You got this nice shiny gray trims on the door, as well as more contrast stitching on the door, by the way. It's really nice. Also, the headliner is black as compared to the grage kind of color on the FX4 MAX. So a few more things. The seats, apart from the contrast stitching, it has this nice racing stripe that's orange colored in the middle. It also has this embossed Wildtrak logo right there. So the screen's pretty much the same, but there's something about it that I kind of like and kind of prefer. Maybe it's because it's enveloped in this nice cockpit right here. Of course, the tiller is also adjustable, but again, only for rake, not for reach. And there are a couple of more things that I find different inside. First of all, you also see more of the information here on the screen. This one actually has a backup camera. It has a backup camera. It's got adaptive cruise control. It's got driver alert systems, lane keep assist, pre-collision warning. So if you want your truck, your Ford Ranger, to be as safe as it can be, the Wildtrak is your best bet. Again, you only get those safety features on the Wildtrak 4x4. It makes me think which one really is top of the line model. Comment in the comment section, please. Tell me what you think. A couple of more things here. There's so much more things that I want to point out. You've got the Wildtrak logo right there on the passenger side. You got some aluminum scuff plates as well by the door. You got power adjustable seats for the driver, which you won't find in the FX4 MAX. What more can you want? You got your parking assist here. You got your proximity sensors as you drive. So you even have this button here to power that rolling shutter in the back. That's a power rolling shutter which you can activate from the outside and the inside. The tailgate is also assisted. You've got some auxiliary sockets at the back. The rear passengers even have their own power socket, not a 12-volt socket, a power socket which you can actually charge your stuff in, your phone, your laptop, no problems, and another 12-volt socket right there. This is a perfect truck for those who want to go off-roading and working at home or working outside. So, but you know what? That's enough of that. I want to compare how these two drive, so let's take it for a spin. All right, so we're off in the Ford Ranger Wildtrak 4x4. So, a couple of things in common between the FX4 MAX and the Wildtrak. They're powered by the same engine. It's the 2-liter bi-turbo engine. It's with a 10-speed automatic. That engine makes around 210 horsepower and 500 newton meters of torque. That's a lot of power. And if it sounds familiar, it's because it is. It's the same engine found in the Ford Ranger Raptor. Right, so that's where the similarities end, because these two trucks can't be more different from one another than it is, because the Ford Ranger Wildtrak actually runs on the same front suspension, but the rear, that's where things get different. While the FX4 MAX has those sweet Fox shocks or shock absorbers in the rear, the Wildtrak has the more traditional leaf springs. Now, the effect it has on NVH or on the overall ride feel is, if you can hear my voice, it's pretty bouncy inside. Typical for a pickup truck of this size. But what that does is that it adds more capacity for loading and towing. So if you want to use your pickup truck or your Ford Ranger for your business, if you want to haul stuff or bring over or carry more items, the Ford Ranger Wildtrak is your best bet. Now, when it comes to safety, like I said earlier when we were discussing the interior, the Ford Ranger Wildtrak 4x4 is the only one with the advanced safety features, alright? So you get lane keep assist, pre-collision warning, you even have that backup camera that's really very useful, especially for a truck this size. Unfortunately, the FX4 MAX does not have that. Okay, so a couple of more differences is, of course, the tires. This has 18-inch wheels with highway rated tires, while the FX4 MAX has all-terrain tires. Now, a few more things. Of course, this has 4x4 as well as the FX4 MAX, so you get the same locking differential and those same drive modes. You even have this downhill assist system, which is very useful, especially if you need to crawl downwards. But which of these two trucks is more off-road capable? Of course, I'm gonna go with the FX4 MAX because of those Fox shocks. I mean, this can go off-road as well, but the FX4 MAX can do that quite faster. So fuel economy for the Ford Ranger Wildtrak 4x4 and the FX4 MAX are pretty much the same, if just off by a few liters or so. This one here is around 7 kilometers per liter in the city, and once you open up in the highway, you can get around 14 kilometers per liter, and that's the same with the FX4 MAX. Doesn't surprise me that they have the same engine, although they have different wheels, different size wheels. The differences are quite nominal. Yeah. Alright, now we're in the FX4 MAX, so I won't be talking too much about this because, again, the things that make them the same are quite basic, of course, but what jumps at me right away is the difference in ride quality. I mean, it's still stiff because it's still a truck, but it's more composed, if I could say so. I should say so for myself. It's more composed than your usual truck because of those Fox shocks in the rear. Now it doesn't have those doesn't have the leaf spring suspension setup as the Wildtrak has, so towing and cargo capacity is of course reduced, but it's better than the Raptor for sure. But right away I can feel the ride quality, improvement in ride quality. But are you really willing to give up all those toys in the Wildtrak for just some improvements in ride quality? I should, for me at least now, I'm still heading for the Wildtrak. So for the price difference between the FX4 MAX and the Wildtrak is also quite minimal. What's 30,000 pesos these days for brand new cars, especially if you're in for financing? But the difference again is, what are you paying for? For the FX4 MAX, like I said, I keep reiterating this, the FX4 MAX is more for that person who would prefer those Fox shocks, who's willing to pay for the advanced suspension. I mean, on this road, you can definitely feel the difference on the ride quality. This is more traditional like, while the FX4 MAX is, it's easier. And of course, you can take it farther off-road. But if you're more into safety features, convenience features, and just an overall nice truck, the Wildtrak is my personal bet. Now, some other guys might be saying, how about the Raptor? Well, the Raptor is about 250,000 pesos more than these two models. So if you got money to burn for a Raptor, go ahead. But I say at 250,000 pesos is a lot more money. So there you have it, folks. Two distinct choices from the same model. Which would you pick? Personally, I'd go for the Wildtrak for its out-of-the-box nature, but for those who wants to customize their trucks, the FX4 MAX might just be your deal. Leave us a comment in the comment section down below, and while you're at it, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification icon so that you're alerted whenever you upload a new video. Once again, thanks for watching. Roy Robles here from Zigwheels.Ph. I'll see you guys next time.